And we are live. Hello, my name is Darren. I'm a dad. I'm an airline pilot. I am a husband of a scientist. And it is Friday, February 28th. It's 2025. No, Friday, March 28th, 2025. And scheduling never called me. I went the whole month of March without ever going to the airport. But don't worry, I'll get paid. There'll be a whole video explaining this here soon. Howdy, Random Witch and USF 43 and Jacob. So, let's see. Juggling two laptops here. Trying to figure out what is going on. All right. So, I go to Recurrent training here in a couple days, and I did study today. I went to the schoolhouse for about 3 hours, and they have the paper trainers we can use, and then they have a full sim, but it's not a sim. It's just a giant, probably a 42-inch, 50-inch LCD that I can sit in front of and fly that one as well. I have a home sim as well, but the one there is extremely accurate, so I used that one for a bit and then came home. I'll go up there again tomorrow to study as well. Hey, Eric, the month was easy, but not easy. I miss flying. I had a good beard until last week. I was on vacation. I had to sit in a jump seat, so I had to shave my beard. But I don't like being home so much. It throws off our whole house. Again, most people would love to be home for a long time. I like it, but I want to go fly. I want to go fly. And as is, I'm probably not gonna fly until like at least another 2 weeks. But I get paid for 106 hours, so that's still good. Just flew back from Rio last week, 787-800. Wondering, can you and the captain have the same crew meals, or do you have to have different ones? WC Master, great question. We used used to be in the manual that we had to have different meals. During COVID, that was taken out. It used to be in the manuals we had to have different meals, and then in fact, they would put on. It used to be kind of a joke that the FO was always a vegetarian because there'd always be a meat option and a vegetarian option pre-COVID. And so the captain got first choice. That's just how it is. And 95% of the time, the captain would take the meat meal, leaving the vegetarian meal to the FO. Well, ha ha ha. I was a vegan for 4 years. I love vegetarian meals. So I was happy to take the vegetarian meal. Post COVID, they got rid of it for, I'm not sure why, but now there are, at least on the 777, there's always a beef and chicken. And so we kind of joked saying, do you want tar or feather? Tar or feather? Tar being the beef, feather being the chicken. Now, every now and then, there are some vegetarian options thrown in, but we can have the same meal because on a three-person crew, there's typically like one beef, two chicken. So if we both want chicken, we both get chicken. So, excited for Recurrent. I'm not excited, but I'm not nervous about it. You know, I used to be nervous for Recurrent training. Again, this is my first one on the 777, but I'm not nervous only in that I've been doing this so long. I know what to expect. I know I'm going to go in, first day will be compute, airline updating on new EFB apps, on my electronic flight book, new company policies. I'll shoot a fire extinguisher off into a fake fire. I'll put on a fake life vest. I will not do the slide again. And then I'll operate the emergency exits. And then what else do we do? Then we talk about Recurrent. We talk about systems for a bit, and that's it. Days 2, 3, and 4 will all be in the simulator. And I know I'll take off and I'll lose an engine at some point. And single engine landing. I'll have some kind of event that requires us to divert. So, yeah. Hey, Darren. Long time no see. I've been so busy with check ride prep, nonstop stress. Hey, Mr. Sarabia. Dude. Yeah, it has been a while, but hey, again, check ride stress is a big thing in the beginning. After a while, there are no more stress, but you'll knock it out of the park. Thank you, Mr. Kauchi. My Rivian is actually in for service, so I'm Rivianless. Very minor thing. My USB ports don't work for the dash cam, and my FM radio doesn't work. So I took it over to Dallas today and I dropped it off. Darren, do you wear a clip-on tie or do you have to tie your own tie? I use my own tie. Over the years, I've used a clip-on tie, a zipper tie, and a normal tie. There are perks to each one. The clip-on tie, easy on, easy off, but it looks a little funny because if you don't get the right length, then it looks funny. And I've flown with people that have the short clip-on tie. It goes down to their belly button. That's weird. The zipper tie, there aren't many negatives to the zipper tie. Pure noise in the background. My kids playing with Legos. I've been using a traditional tie for years, though. Then my PMB 777 into Miami. Glad to hear you weren't flying into London last Friday. Sorry, I have allergies. Nice. I do like the PMB 777. I'll be flying that one probably tonight or tomorrow, just to get back with sim stuff. Flying. If you fly GA, do you have to tell your company? Nick, great question. If I'm flying GA for my own personal use, no. If I'm flying GA for compensation, meaning someone's paying me to fly or I'm using my CFI certificate, yes. Do you get the daily 5-hour 15-minute credit to go to Recurrent? Jacob, great question. It is not 5:15. It's less than that. It's like 4 hours and 13 minutes. Why? Because. Let me look up the exact number. HI1. I do indeed get 4 hours and 13 minutes worth of credit for each day of Recurrent. That is what is contractually there. Even Darren, because he's been a year on the triple. It has been a year. And Gavin, I did bid for a Charlotte turn on Wednesday. I didn't get it. That's how bad I wanted to fly this week. I was willing to fly to Charlotte. And if you don't know who I am or my deal with Charlotte, I don't like the Charlotte airport, but I was willing to fly there. Curious if you had a check ride failure and a pilot deviation on your record. Is a Legacy Airlines out of the question? Mr. Kauchi? I'm saying it right? Paul? No. I don't work in recruiting. I don't work in pilot hiring. What I've gleaned from people that I've talked to that work in recruiting and pilot hiring, one check ride failure does not do you in. If you have more than 3 check ride failures, prior to being at an airline, if you have more than 3, that could be an issue. If you have 3 or fewer, and you can explain them, it's not going to be an issue. Pilot deviation, that is equal to a check ride failure in my eyes, and it's something you get to explain. So, my biggest piece of advice for each check ride failure: never blame someone else. Never attempt to say, my CFI didn't train me right, or the examiner was really unfair. You own every single check ride failure. I have a check ride failure. For the pilot deviation, own it and explain it. Don't ever attempt to hide it. Hey Darren, I'm listening while packing for my cruise that we're flying to tomorrow. Love the channel. Have fun on your cruise. I'm probably going to have a cruise video about my vacation. It'll be like, flying related and cruise related for people that are interested in that kind of thing. It'll be about 2 weeks though. Flight sim streams, not really. They're too complicated. You take antihistamines for allergies, or do you have to get permission for medication? I take Claritin. It's an FAA-approved medication. I take loratadine. It's the Kirkland version of Claritin. I've been taking it for years. I miss flying. It's been 4 days. I got sick with a cold, so it's a no-go. Feeling better. Need to be 100%. Yes. And even me, you can hear if you listen to my normal voice. Yeah, I've had allergies for the last, good Lord, week. I was fine until I came back to Texas and all the pollen. It is crappy, but yeah, I feel you. Hey Darren, if you need a first-class medical, which diseases would incapacitate you from getting one? Hey Jay Bueno, I cannot talk about anything medical. I have 0 hours of medical training. 0 hours of medical training. I recommend going to leftseat.com. We fly 2-minute hops out of Charlotte and can easily block 2+ hours for this Charlotte Ram shuffle. So glad I'm Philly. Now, again, as you know, the extra ramp time can easily pad your paycheck. there is a app that I have on my EFB because it's allowed to be used, not my phone. It's called Worth, and I'll bring it up to you. When we have delays, I just start this little ramp timer, this little timer as my hourly wage. I start that timer, and it's just how much extra money I'm making. If you're deadheading and your flight gets diverted, what happens to your pay? Great question. I'm paid block or better still. So if I have a 5 hour, good lord, bless my heart, 5 hour deadhead. Let's say I'm going uh San Diego to Charlotte, Transcon deadhead. It's supposed to be 5 hours long. We divert into Raleigh Durham, sit on the ramp for 2 hours, then fly an hour to Charlotte. I get paid the extra 2 hours. But that's put on your contract. Sold your Model X. Will you change the Tesla sign in the garage? It costs money, so probably not. Hey Darren, any tips for an aspiring pilot? And we still have one. We still have one Tesla. I don't have a ton of savings, but I would love to be a pilot someday. Hey, my Magoulamont grants and scholarships can get you to where you want to be. If you go to Charlotte and go and visit the new airport overlook, it's very nice. Maybe that'd be a Charlotte overnight, because I would never visit Charlotte. Although I'll say this: every time I fly into Charlotte, from the south, I fly over some theme park, amusement park, and with a lot of roller coasters. It looks very interesting. So maybe one day I would take my family just to Charlotte. God, I said that. Just to go to the amusement park, and then maybe the overlook area. I have my CFI check ride in a couple weeks. Super excited. TJ, you're almost there, man. It's a rough check ride. I swear the CFI is like a rodeo. It's so bizarre. You're like spinning plates the entire oral and flight. Paris or London to visit as a tourist? I would say London. It's nicer than Paris. Paris wasn't very nice. I spent a week there. It's nice, but I think London is nicer. How early do you show up to the airport? Flying squirrel, I am required to be at the airport 1 hour prior to departure. That is my official sign-in time. Now, that is at mainline. At my regional, it was 45 minutes. Why? Because that's what the contract said. 45 minutes prior. I don't like to rush. My per diem does not start until an hour prior to departure. On the wide body, I'm typically there an hour and 20 minutes prior. Like actually in the terminal. I don't like to rush. When I was flying the Airbus, it was about an hour prior because the Airbus, we didn't board until 35 minutes prior anyway. And the plane probably didn't get there until 45 minutes prior anyway. The wide body, typically the plane is there hours before departure time. I did start at regional, Mr. Riviera. I started at the original American Eagle. It is now called Envoy. Envoy. Does 777 have a green dot speed? It does have a minimum clean speed. So there is a something similar as on the Airbus, yeah. Carowinds Park, thank you, is charted on the 360 center approach plate. I have never noticed that. I totally believe you. Here's a fun Charlotte story. So ODark 30, leaving Atlanta, going to Charlotte, and then flying to the Caribbean on the Airbus. It's like a 5 a.m. departure out of Atlanta, which is early for me because I'm like Central Time, right? We're totally full with the jump seater, and we're coming into 36 right in Charlotte. No. We're supposed to do 36 left into Charlotte. And it's cloudy, a thin layer of clouds, but they're doing ILS approaches. Anyways, I set up and I briefed for 36 left approach ILS. All briefed out. Coming down on the arrival, and they change us to 36 right. And we're below 10,000 feet when they change us. I rebriefed the changes for 36 right. Coming in. On the Airbus, it's very important that when you're on vectors, you press activate approach. is extremely important. And at this point, I've been flying the Airbus for 3 or 4 years. I knew the airplane. But it's 5 in the morning. If you fly the Airbus, you know what's going to happen. We're shooting down the glide slope and the localizer. We're shooting down the glide slope on localizer. Life is good. It's early in the morning. They said maintain 170 to some fix. Cool. Not a big deal. I'm in selected speed on the Airbus, meaning I pull the knob out to control the speed. Autopilot's on. We get to wherever that fix is, where we can slow down to our approach speed. I had previously activated the approach on 3.6 left. We changed to 3.6 right. I never reactivated the approach. As I pressed the button for manage speed with the expectation that it's going to slow to my final approach speed on the Airbus. It did not. It was still in cruise speed. So we're descending on the glide slope. We're probably at flaps 2, gear down, maybe flaps 3, probably flaps 2. And suddenly the plane starts accelerating quickly to 250 knots. We are descending, gear down, flaps 2. It's early in the morning. And the plane starts accelerating to 250 knots. It only took a moment. Just a moment. I'm like, whoa. Autopilot off? Nope, not worth it. We're just going to do a go around. I knew what was happening, but it was easier to just do a go around than to click in IMC and have the captain fix the issue. So around we went. I reactivated the approach and we landed. There's a Charlotte story for you. Where can I get a used airline seat like yours? First class one on eBay. These came from, of all places, Craigslist. Most senior 777 trip at my airline is probably Sydney. Hey, Darren, ATC from Oakland, Oceanic Approach. Probably have worked one of your flights. Love the content. Keep it up. Hey, Jay War, you probably have worked my flights. I find it interesting how far Oakland goes. Like, you would think it'd just be like out in the bay and not all the way over to near Asia. Thank you for the kind words. This park is called Carowinds. They recently merged with Six Flags, so hopefully they'd be better. Awesome, because we have Six Flags memberships that can go anywhere in the world or anywhere in the country. How often does 777 transoceanic flights have a jump seater? Very like an actual jump seater. Very rarely. I've only had one envoy guy from Rome. He got lucky. He got to use our seat the whole flight. And maybe one from London once. It's pretty rare. With your seniority within Kirkland, can they never mandate a base change? No, they absolutely can. It doesn't matter if you're number one. They can mandate a base change in 2 ways. One is called a TDY, a temporary duty. So let's say they have a sudden change and they need to have a lot more flights out of like Phoenix on a 777. There's no base there. But they can say, hey, next month, Kyle, you're going to be based in Phoenix. What really happens is they say we need 30 pilots, 30 captains, and 30 first officers from Dallas to go to Phoenix next month. And they automatically tell the bottom 30, you're going. But if you're a senior, you can say, hey, I commute from Tucson. I will happily take that Phoenix base for next month. And you can volunteer as a senior pilot, and you can save a junior pilot from doing it. Now, if you're a junior, you're like, hey, wait. Hey, guys, I live in Phoenix. I commute from Phoenix. I want to go. Too bad. It's all about seniority. So if the top pilots want to do it, the bottom pilots, you can't do it. That's one way they can force you to change bases. Another way is, all right, guess what? We are no longer going to fly the 777 out of Dallas anymore. So all you pilots from 777, you're all being displaced. And that is when you have to find a new place to go. Now, I've been displaced twice in my career. I haven't been displaced at this year. Well, I haven't been displaced here. But how a displacement works is they say, okay, your aircraft is no longer being at your base anymore. Find somewhere else to go. It's wherever your seniority can hold. Now, if you are the junior pilot, you might not be able to hold Dallas anymore. You might have to go to another base. What happened to me was when I was at my previous airline, I was on the CRJ in Dallas, and they were moving them all to New York and Chicago. Actually, they first were saying they're all going to Chicago. They said this more than once. And so I said, okay, fine. I'll displace to the ERJ, the Embraer, or the ATR. Well, I got displaced to the ATR on paper because once they made that announcement and they put this displacement out there, they changed their minds. And I foolishly put a bid back in for Dallas CRJ when I should have gone to Dallas Embraer. I would have been better off. But anyways, yes, that's how they can force change your base. Darren with a fire near Heathrow last week. Who decides where you divert? The dispatcher and captain. Getting ready for my CPL written next month. Any tips? I'm from Vancouver, so I'm not how different it is in Canada. I have no idea how the Canadians do it. I assume there's maple syrup involved. Just kidding. Flashcards worked for me. Flashcards, and then of course have someone give you some mock questions. And with any check ride, always take your time. I've never needed to rush on any check ride. Just did my ATV CP in Dallas, all on the Airbus. It is very fun. I love my Airbus. I miss my Airbus. Hope you enjoyed it. Something happened to me in my flight sim, not activating the approach in Phoenix 321 is very annoying. It will automatically activate sometimes, if I remember correctly. Mr. Shaquille Oatmeal, dude, you are now a commercial pilot. Knuckles to you, man. You can now get paid to do this. Paid to do this. I'm glad you will never have to do a Chandel All Days V8 again. Congratulations. But yeah, you can celebrate today, and then in a few weeks, you get a piece of plastic in the mail, and you can celebrate again. Nice work, man. Is there a situation where you would have a jump seater on a transoceanic flight if the plane is 100% full? No. There could be an FAA jump seater who wants to observe us flying. There could be a check airman who's doing a line check that wants to observe us flying. And then there's other people who I won't mention who could also be in the flight deck. Hey, Darren, thank you for being a big inspiration for me chasing my airline dream. I'm a PPL, kicking my butt. How did you manage it while still having fun? It wasn't all fun. I had some really crappy days. But you're getting to fly airplanes. Like, even on a bad day, like, even if you are having to fly to Charlotte, it's still good. You're still flying airplanes. Just kidding. But, you have to balance the good with the bad. Not every day is going to be amazing. Some days, you're going to make stupid mistakes. You're going to kick your butt. And you're going to think, man, I made a horrible decision. But most days, you're going to fly an airplane, right? And you have to keep thinking in your head, I'm doing all this now to get to where I want to be, right? I mean, some people want to stay GM, general aviation, that's fine. But one day, I want to be flying that big jet over there. I'm going to get paid to do it for the rest of my life, right? I'm very fortunate to get to do what I do for a living. I mean, on a bad day, I fly 777 to London. Has anyone told you look like Denzel Washington a little bit? No, I get the guy from Breaking Bad. Is captain always in the left seat facing out? Yes. Jump seat allowed to use the crew rest area. Kyle, it depends on the model plane we're on and what the crew wants to do. So if we're on a 777-300 with a 3-person crew, there are 2 bunks upstairs, right? It's the captain's discretion if they want to allow the jump seater to use one of the bunks or not. So, hey there, my 12-year-old is an aspiring pilot, but guess what? He's never flown, but he wants his first flight experience, the whole airport scene. Can we do a day trip somewhere back from DFW? Absolutely. If you work for my airline, use Best Bets. If you do not have non-rev benefits, I would look for a cheap flight. I mean, you can go to like the Houston, Austin, San Antonio, Amarillo, Lubbock, Abilene. I'd go somewhere that you can have a little fun. Like, I think of all the Texas airports, I think Austin would be the most fun. If he's 12, you can fly down to Austin. They have some good barbecue in the airport, good ice cream in the airport, and you can see a lot of airplanes there too. You can see some at the low end of the gates. You can see some international wide body airplanes. Then of course all the narrow bodies all the way down the terminal. But Discovery flight is cheaper though. Discovery flight will probably be about $250. But if you can get some like cheap Southwest or even cheap American tickets inside of Texas, that could be fun too. How are relief pilots chosen? Do they bid? I have something. That's my cloth in my mouth. A thread. Relief pilots, where I work, you bid for it, and it typically goes senior. So, like a flight to Rome or to Incheon would be a 4-pilot crew, and typically the FO position is the junior person on the crew. Why? Just because there's 4 pilots on that crew, captain of course, and then the 2 relief pilots. It's an easy gig. It is an easy gig. So that typically goes very senior, but you bid for it. So you can bid and say, I want to be the FB for this flight. If not FB, then FC for this flight. So you can bid FO, FB, or FC, and in the monthly bidding, and then as reserve trips come open and close. Wow, speaking of Incheon, they're having a devil of a time staffing the Incheon flight for today. Right now, the flight to Incheon supposed to leave this morning. It's not leaving tomorrow morning. It's not leaving tomorrow morning. Wow. And all 4 seats are open. FO, FB, FC, and captain. And certifications would you recommend could be used in place of a bachelor's? So, Franklin, I have a degree in journalism, right? Having a degree is one line on my resume. Just one line. But what else? And it's part of who I am, absolutely. But what else do you bring to the table? What else do I bring to the table? If you volunteer with your church, if you're in the church, that's something you put in your resume, right? You volunteer for Habitat for Humanity, there you go. You volunteer with the ACE Academy with OBAP, and you help kids, learn about how to be a pilot in aviation. That's something else you can put down. Everything that you can put down, it doesn't have to be aviation related. It's great if it is, but it doesn't have to be. All these things you put down are talking points, and you never know who you're going to meet in life. You might be at a aviation convention, Women Aviation, talking to a recruiter who happened to work for Habitat for Humanity, or who happened to attend an ACE camp when they were a kid. Like, hey, you volunteered with OBAP ACE camps? Man, that got me into aviation. Isn't that such a rewarding thing to get into, be involved in? And that makes a connection between you and that recruiter, and that could be helping you get to where you want to be. So, just an idea. Hey, my buddy from Incheon. All is going well. I haven't flown all month. I miss flying. Thanks, Darren. That's what I was thinking. Yep. Hopefully, one day we can meet up. I'll try to have a meeting at the Founders Plaza in Dallas one day. Darren, I'm also a big fan of gambling. Do you prefer WinStar or Choctaw? Mr. Graham, I prefer WinStar. It's a lot bigger. I think it's crazy how big that casino is nowadays. Because I live direct south of WinStar. Choctaw is a little bit over. I did go to Choctaw about 3-4 months ago. I went more longer than that. I had my Hyundai about a year ago. I didn't care for it. Can you pick up that for premium? I can't, Tommy. I would love to do that for premium, but I have training on Sunday, so I'm illegal I can't fly into my training days. So, yeah. Nope. Darren, I'm going to London and from DFW in September. Mr. Landry is a very good chance because I'll be on 777 back in September, of course. Was Recurrent always the end goal airline from Dallas, or the other legacies called first? Would you have went? Kyle, good question. There was a time in my life when I was an FO at my regional that I was kind of desperate. I was I did think about going to Frontier, Delta, United, JetBlue, Virgin America. Virgin America I was really excited about, actually. But I did not be commuting for the rest of my life, right? But I did get a little bit desperate to get out of American Eagle for a while. But I'm glad I am where I am. I'm a used quality of life person, right? Do my friends at Delta make more money than I do? Probably. But I don't like commuting. I don't like driving. I don't like commuting. So it was where I work here. It's here or nothing. Yeah. Um, Most of the time, you know, I will say I'm a dad, airline pilot, and husband of a scientist, right? I'm a dad first, right? My kid's playing Legos room next to me. Most of the time, I am not wearing a pilot uniform. Most of my life, I'm a dad. And me living in base allows me to be a dad first and not always worrying about commuting. Some people have to commute, and I get it. But for me, no. Can we update your logbook for you or something you need to do after each flight? Jack is great question. My company does not care about my logbook. My company does log time for me, but it is not in a logbook format. But I pay union dues, and my union has a nice logbook format for me. It's all electronic. So they don't log my landings. I do that for myself, but they have all my tail numbers, city pairs, and times. And that's all I really need. I think I want to get a small degree, go to community college, look better for my resume. That works, Mr. Serbia. Family quality of life and other factors aside, is there an ideal airline that you'd love to fly for? Not really airline, because one thing I like about where I work, and this is, if you know about anything about airlines and non-rev, you know I'm legit here. Part of working for an airline is my family gets unlimited flight benefits. Many airlines in the United States, such as Delta and United, they use what's called a seniority-based non-rev system. Meaning, Steven, let's say you got hired at Delta today, 2 months ago. 2 months ago, you and your spouse got first class tickets to Hawaii non-rev, and you loved Hawaii. Man, we had a great vacation in Hawaii. It's time to go back home, and you go check in for the 6 a.m. flight, and it's full, and you roll over because every flight's full all day long until 10 o'clock at night. You've been there all day long with your spouse, thinking, "Wow, we're still in Hawaii. Can't get home. We gotta go back to work." And now there's 2 open seats on that last flight out of Hawaii. 2 open seats. Like, oh, finally, there's 2 open seats, honey. We're going home. But then I walk in, and I was hired 4 years ago. I haven't been at the airport all day long. You've been at the airport all day long. But I just got there because I was hired before you. I get the seats. Now, where I currently work, that's not how it works. It's first come, first serve. So whoever checks in first is top of the list. And if you happen to roll over all day long, you stay on top because you checked in first and da 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 da. And I could have been hired 30 years ago. You could have been hired yesterday, and because you checked in before I did, you're ahead of me. I think it's a lot more fair. La la la. Thanks for the terrific channel content. I have my first Discovery flight next week. Mr. King, enjoy your Discovery flight. And when you go, if you can, buy a buddy dinner that has, there's Taco Bell. Give them a Baja Blast and have them film your video from the outside, right? Because you're gonna be so excited and endorphins will be going off in your head and you'll be like, oh, that's so awesome. So have them film from the outside, so you can just film that portion of your flight as well and enjoy it. Going to Asia tour next year, most likely Thailand, Bangkok, Philippines, Palawan, Japan, Tokyo, Singapore, or South Korea. You know what? I'm gonna go somewhere in about 3 weeks, and I'd love to go to Bali. So I was watching The Amazing Race. Bali looks pretty interesting. I think I'm gonna go to Abu Dhabi though, but that's to be seen. Check out our company rebranding in the end. Which last time I did not. Oh, Korean. I'm gonna do it right now though. Oh wow, that's really boring. Wow, it's just blue. That's really sad. I like the old brand. It should have kept the tail. The new font on the body is one thing, but the tail should have changed. The tail should be more unique. Ew. What is the retirement age for cargo pilots? 65. Can you retire? Nope, 65. Now you can do corporate after that, but it's 65 still. For your time, obviously, but do you know how pilots bid and got their schedules before the internet? Oh no, Kyle. It's not before my time. No, 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 no. Oh, man, I wish I had. I gotta find a. I should have a photo of this. I can put on my Facebook maybe. When I first started flying, the airline printed these several, probably, good lord, maybe like 80, 90, even 100-page, probably more than 100 pages, stacks called a bid packet. And every pilot had to pick up one. So imagine picking up a packet of over 100 pages of paper. And on there would be all these pairings, meaning all these 1-day trips to 4-day trips. And you'd have to bid that. Well, actually, they had lines. There'd be a full month of a line built. Sorry. So it'd be 100 pages long of schedules. And you see a schedule that goes from the 1st to the 30th, and it would have like 244. That'd be the pairing number. And underneath it would have the cities you would overnight in. And then you have to take that 244 and go find the full sequence and say, okay, this was a 4-day trip that has 4 legs in day, 3 legs in day 1, 4 legs in day 2, 4 legs in day 3, 3 legs in day 4, and where you're going. And so you had to look at all these pairings in all this whole line, and you'd put them in order of what you wanted. It took a long time to bid. So you'd write down all these line numbers, right? And if you were in a big status, like of 400 pilots, and there was 350 lines, you'd have to bid 350 lines. And you'd put them in one by one. So you go to this computer terminal, and you type in line 1, like it'd be line 00001, enter. 00002, enter. But probably not in that order, but you put them in the order you wanted. It took a long time. People would spend hours going and filtering lines. My amazing wife loves data. So I would, toward the end, when I was senior enough, because she would not mess with this when I was very junior. She's like, I'm not going to go through 400 lines. But when I was like number 70 or 60 or 50, she'd be like, okay. And if I was number 50 in seniority in my status, she'd go through and find me like 55 lines. And then, okay, here's what you're bidding, and then put those in. It was a thing, man. It was a thing. It took a long time. Computers, the internet bidding is so much easier. What's your favorite looking international library? Or do you even have a favorite? No. Hey, Darren, have you ever flown to BGI? That sounds familiar. I think it's in the Caribbean. I have flown to Barbados I want to say one time. Or I've flown over it. I was looking at my logbook. I want to say I've flown there, though. Darren, you touched on this in your last video, but is it a big learning curve going from side stick to yoke? Not as big as people think it is. It's bigger going from yoke to side stick. Because yoke, I'm used to 2 hands and that kind of thing. Side stick, that was a bigger learning curve. But going back to yoke, wasn't that big of a deal. But going to fly-by-wire is different. Because with a traditional flight controls, where there's a cable connected to the flight controls, when you turn it, there's tension, and you're actually turning something, right? With side stick, especially fly-by-wire side stick, in the Airbus, you're not like turning. You're just telling it degrees of change that you want. Roll change or pitch change. It's a very different mindset for the Airbus side stick. I loved it, though. What's your opinion on the Middle East 3? If you have one, I don't have an opinion. Longest Airbus flight in my career, Logan, that is easy. It was an empty airplane. It was Thanksgiving of it was before COVID. 2019. Actually, it was the day before Thanksgiving. I flew an empty Airbus 321 non-neo from Dallas to Lima, Peru. It's like 7 hours and 45 minutes. Yeah, just me and the captain. I did the takeoff, he did the landing. Because the reason is they had a broken Airbus down there, and they needed a replacement, and Dallas had a bunch of Airbuses. New plan to do LAX to Dubai, just to ride 380. See, I want to go to Abu Dhabi because it looks really. I want to go to Ferrari World. That's my whole point of this. It's very hard to get to Abu Dhabi. You can only get out there from Chicago or JFK direct. So my plan is to go to Chicago or JFK and hop on Etihad. It is sad livery. Darren, at 14, want to fly the 777 at my airline. Anything I can do now about that? Uh, OK Aviation, you're 14. I'm a dad, dude. I got a 14-year-old kid. Grades, stay out of all trouble. Volunteer work, and look for grants and scholarships. But keep your nose clean is the biggest thing. Grades are important. Accomplishing. Have a long history of getting things accomplished. It's very important. How to hotel, Alex? You think you asked this on my video? I haven't got back to you yet. How do hotel reservations work? Does the airline have a standard reservation? So my airline has over like 15,000 hotel rooms booked per night around the world. Or like over 15,000. So they know they're flying. They're gonna have 3 crews overnighting in Omaha every night. 3 crews. So they know they need, if it's a 737, for example, they need 4 flight attendant rooms and 2 pilot rooms times 3. So they need a total of 18 rooms every night in Omaha for overnighters. So what they do is that they go to hotels and say, hey, we're guaranteeing you 18 rooms every night for this many months. But we also need transportation. Now, not every hotel has transportation. So they say, well, we're not gonna do our vans for you. So then they have to go find a shuttle service to take us to and from the airport. And van service, it seems easy, but it's not. And hotels really hate doing it for flight crews because they have to be there. You know, if we're supposed to land at 8 o'clock at night, they need to watch our flight. If we're early, they got to be early. So they might have to get there at 7:40 and be waiting. And we might not come out until 8:30. So for almost an hour, they have their van just idling by. They hate that. But there are lots of third-party companies you've never even heard of that specialize in picking up flight crews. But yeah, and back to your question, all the hotel reservations are booked in just the airline's name. Just the airline's name. And that's a big reason why most hotels don't give flight crews the hotel points because they're booked in the airline's name. And that's just the way it is. I've never been to New Zealand. Actually, Darren, have you flown into Savannah, Georgia? I have flown into Savannah, Georgia with the Graves on the airfield. I've flown into Savannah, Georgia on the Embraer, CRJ 175, MD-80, and Airbus. What's the best thing about the wide-body life is 1 flight per day. I've really gotten used to having this 1 flight per day. Any advice for a new commercial pilot? I'm newly hired at a company soon to fly the Twin Otter. Just between flight training and flying for work seamlessly. Ask lots of questions, especially in the beginning. If you don't know how a certain company procedure works, like not flying procedure, but like hotels, per diem, scheduling, who to call for X, ask lots of questions. And if you have a family, explain to them how your scheduling works. If you have a spouse or a significant other, make sure they know how to get a hold of you in case of emergency. Let's say, because this is an issue that came up years ago before we had like international cell phones plans. You know, if I was overnighting in Mexico, I leave my cell phone turned off, right? But my wife knows that I am overnighting in Aguascalientes at this hotel, so she needs to get a hold of me or something. She knows how to get a hold of me. Make sure your significant other knows. Like there's a magnet on my refrigerator that all my family knows about. That in case of emergency, or even if they think I need help, it's called Project Wingman. If they think, hey, Dad is kind of woohoo, they know they can call this number. It's a union-sponsored service it's a single point of contact. They can take care of anything. Right? It's a pretty neat program. It's not just for, if I'm having a bad day and need to clear my head, I can call them. If my family's having something going on, they can call them. Even if my family's trying to get a hold of me because I'm on a trip to London and it's a family emergency and my wife is freaking out, she can call that number and they can get word to me in the air if need be, or whatever else my wife needs. Dubai to Abu Dhabi is a 1 hour cab ride. See, Brian, I see it's a 1 hour cab ride. I got that. I mean, 'cause even Dubai, Emirates flies out of Dallas, but we don't have any. We have no pass options on Emirates. Um, and then Qatar flies to somewhere else in the Middle East. It's across the bay from Abu Dhabi. I'm still looking at it. It's about 2 weeks away. Look at my PPL. What's your advice for pursuing my IFR rating? Mr. Hayes, first, congratulations on getting your PPL. Now that you know how to fly an airplane and you are certificated, I give you my full blessing that you asked for or wanted it to use Flight Sim. Use a computer to do IFR stuff because you just want to know how to do holds, track radials, and all that kind of thing. So use Flight Sim as much as you can, just to get all the concepts in your head. Fly the approaches you're gonna fly in the real plane on Flight Sim. No problem at all. La 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 la. And when you're under the hood, make sure you're not under the hood for more than like 20 minutes at a time. Because if you're under the hood for like half an hour, you get brain spaghetti. I know you've probably heard this before, but how old is too old to start flying and make it to the majors? I think if you're over 55, it would be hard to go from 0 to the majors. If you're 50, you can still do it. 50 is still possible to retire at mainline. And the right seat may be the left seat. Do I like being in DFW? I love being in DFW. I'm a native Texan. From Houston. I moved up here about 25 years ago. Yeah, I live in the middle. I don't live in Dallas. I live in Fort Worth. I live right in the middle of Dallas and Fort Worth. So it's a nice, quiet area, and plenty to do. Good schools, mostly good weather. I don't care for the hail every now and then, but yeah, can't have it all. Have you ever driven a Cybertruck? I have not. Um, the Cybertruck, I have less than zero desire. Being a Texan, I never owned a truck, but I appreciate what trucks do, and that doesn't look like much of a truck to me as far as doing what trucks do. But about my Rivian in for service today, they were offering me an R1T as a loaner car. I'm like, I don't really need a loaner car. I seem to ride home because I have my Equinox, and two, the R1T is too long to fit in my garage. So we're flying with the captain or pilot who was hired at a different airline than doing like mergers. PT, it's not weird, but I had a game I played on the Airbus where I could tell where the captain was hired based on where they put the trash bag. If they were a legacy pilot at my airline, the trash bag went